guys, and welcome back to a very special episode. I just reached a huge milestone here on my channel, and I want to take an opportunity to thank every single one of you guys. But I very recently reached 100,000 subscribers here, and that is a big deal. It was this huge far off dream that when I first started YouTube, I was looking at these channels that had these many subscribers, and it was like, maybe one day I'd reach there, maybe in 5 years or 10 years, or maybe never. But I hoped that one day I'd be able to reach enough people to reach that point and to be able to get these videos seen by so many people. So I just want to give a huge thank you to every single one of you guys who subscribed, or even if you just watch my videos or you've fallen into watching these. It means a lot to me, the fact that I can get that out there and that we can be part of this family and this community. And I think it's pretty awesome that we reached that many people. So I will definitely be having some things that I can give back to you today. I have a giveaway and a big sale over at my shop that I'm going to talk more about both of those things. So stay tuned towards the latter half of this video, and I will talk about everything, and you can see all the goodies that you can get and you can take part in. And hopefully I'll be able to offer some of you guys something to show my appreciation. But I do actually want to talk a little bit about the art today too, since that is why we're all here, for the art. But today I am working on a piece that I wanted to be a little bit more thoughtful with the way that I was choosing colors. So I've noticed that I've kind of gotten into a little bit of a pattern of thinking when I'm choosing the colors for my watercolors, where I will think about things very flatly. I'll think about an area being purple or pink or green, and I don't want to think that way anymore. I want to have more of a multicolored approach to things. So it doesn't have to be, well, their hair is one color and I get to that point and then it's static and it's there. So I just really want to be able to have color that has this almost iridescent look to it. So there's a lot more things going on to it, and you don't look at one area and it's like, yeah, that is absolutely definitely one color. So I think the one thing that I can really start implementing more of to get that color variation that I want is in graded washes. I adore doing graded washes in watercolor. And basically it's where you create a gradient with your watercolors. It's where you start off with the most pigment in one area, and then with each stroke of your brush you add more and more water, so eventually it goes from the saturated paint into clear water. Or if you're doing a graded wash with multiple colors, you can also do that, so it'll gradiate from one color to the next. They are super fun to do, and they add a lot of dimension when you're doing watercolors, so I love using them. But I don't think I am using them as aggressively as I would like, especially for getting color variation for the sake of color variation. I think in this piece, it was very helpful to create shadows, and that's one thing that I've mostly used graded washes in the past, so I think I'd like to get a lot more into using graded washes to create color variations within the objects that I'm painting. But today I did push the graded washes to, like I mentioned, push the shadow. So around the bottom defines of the picture where I have our clothing, I went in with a graded wash of the same blue that's the background. And that's a quick tip. If you're struggling with having very cohesive palettes, a great way to do that is to take one color that you mix into every color. No matter how much you mix in, if you have that little hint of it, it will add cohesion to it. And for this whole piece, any blue that I used was this one color of blue every time. And I don't remember exactly what it was called, but I will have a link down in the description. And that just really helps. So since I wanted the background to be that color, and it was that color, and then I had the shadows that color, it has that cohesion to it, and it feels like the shadows belong in that environment and that they are caused by the lighting situation that is in that piece. So that was really helpful to give it that environment that I wanted. But I did use, like I mentioned, graded washes to create more of a shadow effect, and I really pushed it in her hair as well. That was the part that I enjoyed painting the most, where I did a first pass where I started off with a yellowy green towards the hair that's around her face, and then as it faded out, I faded it into more of a neutral green. And I knew already going into it that it was going to be a lot bluer towards the back, fade into green, and then fade into yellow, because I did those very extensive color studies. And I knew that I wanted to achieve that with at least 2 layers. So the first layer was to establish a basic local color of what her hair was going to be. And then after that dried completely, I went in with my very pale blue color that I've been using for the shadow. And I added just an extra touch of the blue for the farthest areas of her hair. So the farther back it was, the more blue it was. And then I just blended it out until it was clear water so that it has this dimension to it. And that's what I love the most about it, is that it made it look like part of her hair was just farther back. It was in shadow and it was farther away from the light source. And that probably is one of my favorite ways to use graded washes, is to create dimension within it, to really push areas back. And you might have noticed, I know that it already happened, but there's a point where I dipped my brush in to clean it off and get just clear water to blend out some blue that I had on her hand, the shadow on the back of her hand that I wanted to blend out really gently. Well, I dipped it into my paint cup and stroked it on, and to my horror, there was this super saturated blue streak on her arm. And this paint is a stainer. It stains really bad. Some watercolor pigments you can wipe up and dab off really easily and it doesn't stick to the paper very much at all, but this paint is not one of those. It stains. It stained my paint palette and it stained my fingers, and the moment that it went on, I had this terrifying fear that it was going to be ruined. But the thing that can really help with almost any paint when you put it on and you know you want to take it off is, before you dab it off, load it up with lots and lots of water. So I went in there, I cleaned off my brush, I cleaned that blue off of it, and I just added a ton of clear water on top of that smudge that I accidentally put on there. I let it soak there for a little bit. I took the brush, a clean brush, and tried to lift up a little of the paint onto that water puddle. And then once I felt satisfied with that, I dabbed it off. This is really helpful. If you go in and try to dab it off while it's still kind of dry, it will usually stain and it will usually leave the pigment there. But if you add a lot of water to it, it can oftentimes lift it up. And most of my pigments I can lift off pretty much completely. So that is a great way to save a mistake. I use this tool all the time. Watercolors are actually very forgiving. I think that there's sometimes this thought that it's really tricky because once you put something down, it's always down. But if you're able to get to it in a certain situation like this with water while it's still wet, it's actually very forgiving. And then some of the final steps that I take is I take my Cintiq gold palette, and I'll have a link to this where you can find it down in the description, as well as every tool that I use and all the paint that I use. That's all down in the description, so if you're curious, I've got it listed down there. But I take that Cintiq golden palette and the silver, and just a heads up, if you use this, you do want to let some water seep into the paint first before you start using it. That activates it. That way you can get really opaque coverage with this paint. But I took the silver and I wanted to add some highlights to the flower so that it has this really magical, ethereal look to it. Again, I love the fairy tales that have to do with like the silver leaves. I think it's the 12 Dancing Princesses maybe. And that's what I was thinking about when I painted that. And then for the very final step, that I usually do off screen because you can't really see much of a difference, but once I'm done painting it, I will go back in with my micron pens and clean up all the edges. There are a lot of areas where I just had a little bit of a blotchy texture next to the line, or maybe I didn't get it painted all the way up to it, so there's a little bit of a pale patch. I will fill those in and I'll clean up areas, especially with that Cintiq where I go over the black line since it's so opaque and cover it. I just clean up everything like that, and it's surprising how much of a difference doing all of these little things can add up so that it looks a lot more polished and complete at the end. And now we can talk about the fun stuff. So the first thing is going to be the 20% off sale over at my art shop. And I have 20% off everything. That is the originals, the prints, the buttons, anything you can find there, it's 20% off. And the sale ends 1 week from today. So that is April 29th, 2017. And that is midnight Mountain Standard Time. And every single order that's made within that week will get a free 4x6 print. And this is exclusive to this sale only, so you can't buy her any other time. But again, every single order gets one for free and you get 20% off, and you don't need a code for that. That automatically deducts itself when you check out. So 20% off and a free print. And for the giveaway, I have 3 winners, and you can be in the US or outside international. Everyone is eligible to win. You just have to be a subscriber here on YouTube, and I'll have a link down in the description so you can click on that and enter it. And that has the same closing time as when the sale ends over at my shop. So that is April 29th, 2017 at midnight Mountain Standard Time. And then I will select the 3 winners on Sunday morning. So I will email you guys. Please check your emails to make sure that you receive it and you see it if you win. And then I can announce who won on my Wednesday video after that. But first thing, the grand prize winner will actually win the painting that I painted today. So I had a lot of fun painting her, knowing that it was going to be a gift to one of you guys and that I could show my appreciation with her. So this is the first place winner, and the second place winner will get a $25 gift certificate to my art shop, and the third place winner will get a $20 gift certificate to my art shop. There we go. And don't forget to enter. You have 1 week. And thank you so much for watching. And again, thank you all of you who helped me reach this huge milestone. It is amazing, and I love every single one of you guys. So I'll see you guys at my next one.